All right. What's going on, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning in. Big Dog Brett live on a Wednesday night. I know usually we do Thursday nights, but unfortunately or fortunately, we won't be able to do that. We have Turkey Day tomorrow for all of you guys out there. So, yeah. I've been messing around with a few things. Finally found a way to integrate, big word for me, I know, OBS and StreamYard. So maybe cross your fingers. Just maybe it'll run somewhat smoothly. All right. So what's going on, everybody? Let's see what we got in the chat. First and foremost, Alex MLD first in here. Fusion X, how you doing, sir? Our first resident member of the night, Dwayne RTR. Thank you so much for being a member, sir. It is much appreciated. Of course, we have Big Dog Keith in the house, who will be likely joining the show in some capacity. SEC Dog, how are you doing, sir? Of course, one of my very favorite members between the trenches. All my members are my favorites. And we have Sarah Crane. How you doing, ma'am? Glad to have you in here. All right, as usual, lots to talk about, lots to cover. We're going to have a ton of stuff to go over today. Let me see. I've you may have noticed that the camera angle looks a little different. It's because I'm trying to do something different. Trying to get a little bit of a better angle with the camera so you can see, like, I guess, more of me, because I had some people complain that they said all they could see was like this, and they wanted it to be a little more up top. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, for those of you who don't want to look at me, turn the screen off. You can just listen. How about that? Let's see here. There's of course the JT Daniels. For those of you who frequent the channel, you saw the JT video that I made a while back, and headphones in the way. JT Daniels, I made that video a while back, and then after, of course, his debut, I took that as an opportunity to remake the video. So yeah. What's you guys' thoughts on JT Daniels? now that you have seen the before and the post debut. What's going on, John Gibson? John Gibson, another one of our resident members, says, can Kirby just be happy he found a QB? He still talks like he is not happy with Bennett. He is not happy that Bennett is not the man. Yes, I completely agree with you, sir. JT is real, son. Oh man, absolutely. I'm putting that up top. So JT is real, son. Believe it. Now, of course, as soon as it came out and you saw that JT Daniels was doing a good job, you got all the UGA haters that jumped out there and said, oh, he's playing against an absolutely depleted Mississippi State. Guys, I don't care who you're playing. It's hard to put 400 yards on the board. It just is. Depleted or not. It's just a nightmare to try and pull that off on a regular basis. I mean, you got some elite offenses out there. Florida's got an awesome offense. Alabama clearly has an awesome offense, and they seem to do that or have been doing it on a fairly regular basis, no matter who they had. So, yeah, I would agree with Keith. I think JT outdid expectations, even for people that had high expectations. Kirby doesn't want to admit he was wrong. That is also another expectation that some of us had. We didn't believe that Kirby Smart would come out and admit that he made any mistakes, but it was pretty clear. If you watch some of his pros, I got to do it, man. So Kirby Smart comes out in a press conference and says, why can't y'all just be happy that we have JT Daniels? It's like, nothing to see here. Look over here. I was like, oh, man, come on, man. You got to own that a little bit now. What he should have walked out, dude. If I'd have been Kirby Smart, y'all never would have known what happened, man. I'd have been like, look, man, this is not the way he played on the scout team. This is not the way he played in practice. I don't know what happened to this guy. Last time we had him out on the field, he was on a walker. Yeah, this is absolutely a miracle. So yeah. He can make all the throws and has no problem doing it. He made some great throws. I mean, there's always something to yeah. There's always something to improve upon, right, Kirby? Listen, I support Kirby. I'm a Kirby fan. I like Kirby Smart. I'm always going to like Kirby Smart. But Kirby, even if you was, especially if you're one of my close friends, I'm going to rip on you when you do something bad, man. It's going to happen. Sarah Crane said it took longer with the construction loan merged with purchase, but he got it done Friday. Thanks, Dwayne RTR. I guess she's talking about closing on her dad's house. Congrats on that, Sarah. Because we could be on the way to destroying Alabama at the SEC. I don't know, dude. I mean, I don't know. I'm not ready to make that statement after seeing one game. I think that may be a recipe for getting yourself punched in the eye. I mean, I really do. I think that if you have an opportunity to go out there and prove yourself over 4 or 5 games, then yes, you can say you have an elite offense. Yes, Slim, you can call into the show. The problem is that the host of your show is hashtag professional, and he's always so good about putting in the link when it needs to be put in. So there you go. Okay, also, guys, going to kind of implement a new rule here. If you show up in my backstage, I'm going to ask you to type something into the chat just to protect everybody, because I've had some people show up last week and the week before that were it'd show up backstage, and then they would try to share their screen, and it would be something of a vulgar nature. And I'm not going to go any further into it than that. But what I'm going to say is that, unfortunately, it only takes one to ruin the whole thing for everybody. So we have to make sure that you are who you say you are. So when you show up in the backstage, I'm going to need you to type over something into the chat so that I know it's you, and we can move forward. So, yes. Because for those of you who don't know, not everybody loves the show as much as y'all do. We got some haters out there, especially when we beat teams, man. Apparently, topic to be discussed. Dabo, the crybaby. Sowini. Oh, man. Just join us if you're already answered. Sorry. What does Saban getting COVID do for us? I will get into that in just a little bit, Brad. They hate us because they ain't us. Some of them hate us because they can't be as good as us. Some of them just hate us anyway. Regardless of who we were playing, those passes were elite level accurate, man. That drop pass to Pickens was sick. The ones to Karras Jackson that he dropped and then went to Pickens and then Karras Jackson made a touchdown in the end zone. Yeah, that was good. The crybaby. Yes, Tigers. I hate it for you, man. Listen, if you're gonna get on here and watch me rip on Kirby, you gotta be ready for me to rip on your coach too. It's just the way it goes. I rip on all of them. Know that Kirby has changed QBs. He needs to be Keith. Let me go ahead and add him in.
Oh, you're taking a chance, man. Taking a chance.
Yeah. Well, if you don't show up and show your face, I can't put you on. He said yes, it's really me.
What's going on?
I like that hat. I like that hat, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go ahead and change gears. If you're doing red, I'm gonna do a different color.
Zach, switch up.
No, I got you.
There you go.
I got you.
I gotta get me some more dog hats.
What's that?
So I gotta get me some more dog hats. The ones I have, I don't really like the way they fit anymore.
Yeah, I gotta get you.
Since I did away with the hair, man, my hats all fit different.
Yeah, I got the same thing. Whenever I get a haircut, man, I got this bushy fro, and as soon as I lose that hair, man, it disappears. The hat about falls off. So what's on your mind, man?
Hey, not much, man. I'm ready to knock out some of these topics. Got some good stuff to talk about this week. All
right. So first thing I want to start out with the FSU Clemson debacle. Yeah. Usually I ask you for your opinion, but this time I'm going to give mine first and then get your response.
Yes, sir.
I think there's multiple sides to this. I think that given the current environment, regardless of what your opinion is, regardless of what your personal opinion is of the virus, you have to understand that the implementation of all the rules that have been put in place so far is put there with a design purpose of keeping players safe. So if one team or any team feels like it's not safe, they don't want to roll the dice, I say okay. I feel like there was a legitimate concern there, and I don't feel like Clemson had anything to lose or has anything to lose by not playing that game. I understand that it cost Clemson apparently $300,000 in travel money. I'm sorry that you guys lost $300,000 off of a program that probably makes $200 million a year. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's college football. It is what it is. I don't feel bad about that. But what I feel is bad is that the way Dabo approached that. I didn't feel like that was. I understand being fired up about your team. I understand feeling some kind of way about it. But I think the response that he had was probably going to cause him more headache than solve problems.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm getting some feedback. I think it's. I don't know if.
Is it me or is it you?
I don't know. I think I got the other tab. There we go. It sounds better. I mean, college football has been taking some flack from the beginning about how they've handled the COVID, with the absence of the bubble and all of this stuff and choosing money over the health. I mean, that's been the narrative that you've heard across college football, right? And so these, everybody's trying to do the best thing they can. And so when you have a kid that's having flu-like symptoms, flew on the plane anyways, and then test positive after traveling with the entire team. If we're not going to cancel games for that, then what are we doing? I mean, we might as well just have had a regular season and, what I'm saying? I mean, everything that we did, it was for nothing. I mean, I think complaining, I don't think he has a leg to stand on to complain about, a kid traveling with the team and tested positive and then blaming the other team for canceling the game. It's like, that's crazy to me.
When I first heard that, I was like, really? And then after I listened to it, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was like, this guy, This guy tested positive,
It's your
and you put
player.
him on a plane anyway.
Yeah, it's your player that is the one. I mean, I could understand it if if it was like a Florida State guy and and then they're I mean, but the player is a Clemson player. That I mean, I don't know. I just think in this environment, arguing that hey, we should play this game, even though a guy that clearly tested positive traveled with the entire team, we should play, is just not. I mean, that is a lose-lose argument.
Well,
And
not only that, my point of view on it was you're playing FSU.
yeah,
You're not. Hey, what's going on, Ariane? You're not playing the toughest opponent in your schedule. As a matter of fact, you're probably playing the weakest. Now, if you had to say, "Hey, big dog, Georgia's got to throw away one game," which game do you want to throw away? If I'm a national championship contender, which Clemson clearly is, if I have a Heisman Trophy hopeful and has been for 3 years as my quarterback, I would consider playing FSU just about a meaningless football game.
yeah. I mean,
It's just an opportunity to suck up an injury.
I mean, FSU knew they were going to get destroyed. I mean, there's no. I mean, I don't think FSU was trying to avoid taking a loss. I mean, I think they pretty much accepted that loss for weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think they were looking for a way out of it. It's just if we're going to take this thing, if we're not going to take this thing seriously, then let's just shut up about it. And if we are, then you can't complain when you carry a guy that tested positive that traveled with your team. You can't blame another coach for not wanting to play that game. I mean, it's just
what's that old adage?
Hey, I'm fine either way. I mean, we can just go and play because, I mean, I don't want to get political again, but college-aged kids are not dying of this virus. I mean, these kids, I mean, they're beating it, and so I mean, I think I think it was a bunch ado about nothing. But if we're going to take it seriously, and everybody is being forced to take it seriously, then let's take it seriously.
I agree. All the rules that are put in place, all of the precautions, the extra precautions, the extra staff on the medical team, the rapid testing, the repeated testing, telling these kids they can't go out and party on the weekends with their college kids. And you're telling them, hey, you got to stay basically confined to your dorm for the sake of the rest of your team. And then you have a player who tests positive for it, who is showing symptoms, and you're going to put him into an environment that could potentially spread the virus.
Yeah.
I mean, even if this guy had just the regular old flu, right? Let's just say let's just use this as an adage. If he had the regular old flu, I wouldn't want my kids out there wilding all over him. I'll be honest with you. I would not. Yeah. And so I can understand why FSU and their staff goes, look, we're going to lose this game anyway. I mean, we're just there's no point in playing this. It would be like Vanderbilt canceling against Alabama. Vanderbilt does not expect to even compete with Alabama. They know that's not on their that's not on their no. That's
to even think that Clemson would even be miffed about it is kind of odd too. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was Florida State's coach and I felt like I had a legitimate reason that we should cancel this game because we had a positive test, when I'm sitting there mulling over my decision on whether or not I want to, bring this up and press this issue, one of the things that I would think about is Clemson probably would be completely okay with not playing this game. They don't need to beat us.
Yeah.
They're in the top 4 already. They went out. They're good. They're going to have to probably play Notre Dame in an ACC championship game anyways. So, I mean, if they win that game, they're in. So, I mean, it's not going to – the game does not matter. The only thing that could have happened is Clemson get an outbreak or Florida State get an outbreak or Clemson – somebody get hurt. I mean – there was only bad things that could happen in that game for Clemson. If Clemson went out there and beat Florida State 100-0, it's not like they'd moved to number 1 in the country.
Correct. And here's the other thing. I could maybe understand Dabo's argument a little better if he would have left the player on campus. Why did you bring that guy with you? Exactly. There was no need to bring that guy.
He's already having symptoms.
Yeah, he's already having symptoms, so why would you bring him?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, just watching what went on with that, I was not And then he gets out there and he has a press conference and starts talking about, hey, I'm been a head coach for 12 years and this, that, and the other. I don't care what they say down in Tallahassee. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that may be the case, but
yeah, he even called him out for having multiple coaches over the past few years. It's like, man,
it's like they've
how
had
petty can you
three
get?
coaches
Man?
in 4 years or something.
Yeah.
I was like,
Don't
well,
get
what's that?
Yeah. That's not got to do with anything. It's like, listen, I'll take any opportunity I can to dog on FSU.
Me too.
But Dabo, you wrong this time, buddy. I gotta stand up. I got FSU's back on this one, man.
Wrong's wrong and right's right. And this time you just wrong, man.
You're just wrong. Yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, is this a case? Is this a case of a coach trying to stand up for his players where he took it too far because his players wanted to play? Or is this a case of just Dabo being a jerk?
I really think that deep down inside, he feels like he got taken advantage of, that they waited until he traveled and, that they planned it all along. That, hey, this kid's got flu-like symptoms and he's going to travel with him. We're going to let him get all the way down here and then we're going to cancel the game after they travel.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. We don't know what conversations happen behind the scenes. And the conversation may have went something like this. Hey, man, we got one of our players that has tested positive for COVID-19. Okay. Did you do your contact tracing? Did you do all this stuff? Yeah, we did all that. He's showing, some minor symptoms and say, okay, well, is he quarantined? No, we're bringing him with us. You're going to do what? We're going to bring him with us. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, we're going to bring him anyway. Okay. And then they show up. And these guys have clearly had this conversation because the medical staffs had already talked about it. And the medical staffs is like, no, we ain't tested this guy. Clearly, they don't have they're not taking the utmost precaution because they brought him with them. You know what? No, we're not doing this. We're not playing this game. To me, I think that is an abridged version of the conversations that went down.
I could probably stand behind Dabo if the kid had flu-like symptoms. He traveled anyways. Let's say maybe he took a test in Clemson, was negative, and then he got to Florida State and it was negative, but he still got a little bit of symptoms, and Florida State canceled the game. Yeah. Okay, I could see the argument there, maybe. But this kid traveled with the team and tested positive for COVID. I mean, that game's not going to get played under any stretch of the imagination. I mean, the damn ACC commissioner should have canceled that game. Honestly,
yeah. Well,
that game wouldn't if that was an SEC game, it wouldn't have happened. It doesn't.
No,
I mean, neither one of the head coaches would have had to have even talked about it. I mean, Sankey would have canceled it. It'd have been done.
Well, I mean, look at we've had games in the SEC that have been canceled just out of an abundance of caution.
Right.
There wasn't a player that was infected traveling to any games. It was a maybe that could happen, and then nope, game postponed, game canceled. Sorry about your luck. Moving on. Hey, Fusion, sorry, man, you wanted to jump in right there. We were in the middle of a conversation. If you want to jump back on, man, we'll get you back in.
Yeah, it's just it's Dabo being Dabo, unfortunately. I mean, it's not the first time he's cried about something.
No, it's not, and I mean,
won't be the last.
I understand to a point, that he is. I think it's hot quick. I understand he's trying to stand up for his players, and he wants to make as strong a case as possible about being able to.
They want to go beat up on somebody after losing to Notre Dame. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, want to get some of that aggression up.
And I mean, I'm sure he probably wants to get Trevor some snaps. Was Trevor going to be able to play in that game? I think he would have. Yeah, he was
Trevor was supposed to play in
now we're looking at what, 30 – it's going to be 34, 35 days now between the last time Trevor took a snap.
Yeah. Well, apparently that doesn't matter because it was over a year between when JT Daniels took a snap and look how he played. So,
yeah.
All right, we're going to bring in Fusion X. I believe Fusion X is an Auburn fan. Let's see what he's got.
What's up, Brett?
All right, you there, sir? What's going on, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Fusion.
What's up?
What's going on, man? What kind of lights you got going on there, man?
Oh, I got a loft bed for my birthday, and I got these strobe lights here playing because I'm getting ready for Christmas.
There you go. That's
Of course,
what's
I gotta.
up.
Yeah, I'll turn them on light for now. But so I was
So
gonna
what's on your mind, my
mention.
man?
I was watching this Saturday. I watched Ohio State and Indiana, and it was a rather good game. And of course, it looked like Ohio State had the upper hand, but it definitely turned out to be a good game. But I feel like if Indiana was going to prove a college football playoff, something to hit in the college football playoff, I feel like that was the game they needed to win, and they couldn't get it done. So against an Alabama team or Ohio State team, I mean, a Clemson team or a really good Notre Dame team this year, I just don't think they could get it done.
Okay, so what about you don't really see Indiana play these top-notch teams very well very often, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you eating food?
Oh, no.
Oh. You're going to come in here and wave a plate around.
I mean, if you want some, yeah.
Ohio State, for the most part, has been just kind of scoring at will, running up and down the field, doing pretty much whatever they wanted. And I feel like if it wasn't for the second quarter, where the second quarter kind of got away from Indiana and then they made some adjustments, after the half, Indiana looked great. I mean, they shut out Ohio State in the last quarter of that game, and that game was not put away yet.
That's true. I feel like Michael Penix is definitely a legit quarterback. Maybe not like a Heisman Trophy winner, not yet at least, if he still has more years. But he's definitely a legit quarterback. Now, on the other hand, for BYU, they haven't played any Power 5 team, so I don't figure they could get in the college football playoff. And I believe the reason they're even in the top 10 is because of the way the year started out.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you there, Fusion. I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised at your wealth of football knowledge, sir. Most grown men don't have that kind of knowledge at their fingertips. Like when I first started doing this, I didn't have that kind of knowledge, and here you are. And I know you're not an Indiana fan. I know you're not an Ohio State fan.
Buckeyes are in my top 3.
Yeah, but you're an Auburn fan first, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, see. So what I'm saying is most grown men don't have a top 3. Most grown men have their team and then 3 or 4 other teams they can't stand.
Yeah, right.
So by the way, Sarah Crane says hit the like button, guys. I appreciate that, Sarah. When you're talking about Indiana and Ohio State, I feel like Indiana is the only team that's going to give them a run for their money in that conference right now. Michigan's certainly not. Michigan is a dumpster fire that has been set on fire and then put out with elephant urine and then soaked in kerosene and set back on fire. It's just terrible over there right now. So
you think it's Harbaugh? I feel like they've been rather good in recruiting because Michigan is that type of team who is rather popular. But you think it's the players or you think it's the coaching?
It's definitely coaching.
I would say that there is no doubt in my mind that it's coaching. I have seen coaches do more with players and just have good coaches. Clemson's a prime example. Clemson never had top 5 recruiting classes until after they won a national championship. Dabo Sweeney would specifically go out and look for players that matched his play style and what he was looking for in a player. He didn't necessarily care whether or not you were just a 5-star player. He cared whether you could do the things that he was looking for. And then he'd pick you up if you was a 3-star if you met his criteria. And so that is a prime example of coaching over just having raw talent. It's like Georgia's just the opposite. Georgia got so much raw talent, it's ridiculous. But yet most of the time we look like a B-rated team because the coaching is not caught up to where the talent level is.
Well, I'll say, Michigan, Michigan's has been a top level, they're a huge market team, right? They have fans all over the country. They don't have to, they get, as long as they're doing okay, they get recruits, they get kids that want to go to Michigan no matter what, kind of like Notre Dame. They're going to get some of these kids no matter what. So the fact that Michigan over the course of Harbaugh's tenure there has struggled against Ohio State, I don't think he's beat Ohio State the entire time he's been there. that to me is coaching, right? They've had years where they've beat up on everybody else, but they just can't get over that hump. And there's no reason for that, because I mean, even Ohio State, in years past, they've always had good teams, but I mean, they've always benefited from playing in a relatively weak conference.
Yep.
And they've been the shiniest team in a conference full of mediocre teams. And there's been a great opportunity for Michigan to change that narrative. If they would have had a coach that could have grabbed the bull by the horns, and they could have done flipped this thing on Ohio State, in my opinion. I think there's been times where Michigan has had better talent on the field than Ohio State. Not recently. Don't get me wrong, but Ohio State's built that talent because of how they beat up on Michigan.
That year with Jabril Peppers, I believe that was the 2015 season, and they were in the top 3. And I think when they got upset by Iowa, it was like 19-18 or 17-18. Whoa, I'm sorry. My phone was propped up. I have it charging. It was propped up. But when it was 17-18, I think Iowa got a game-winning field goal that year. When it was a crazy top 4 out of 5. I mean, top 4. 3 out of 4 got knocked out. Top 4 got beat.
Right.
And Alabama was the only one. Of course, Alabama didn't lose. But I feel like that year they actually had some rather good talent, better than Ohio State, because Ohio State wasn't in the top 10. I don't think Ohio State was in the top 10 that year.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, what?
I'm gonna change gears on you.
All
right. I know you're a diehard Auburn fan, and obviously you pay attention to your players and your stats and your coaches.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care if you're 8 years old or 80. If you're an Auburn fan, I'm gonna be on you. I'm just letting you know. 18 or 80, blind, cripple, or crazy. I don't care.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
So, what's the game plan this week to beat Alabama? I want to hear it.
Hope and pray.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, man? I got to ask you a question here. I got to be honest with you. You're a very impressive young man.
Thank you.
Do you think it helps your team that Nick Saban is not there, or does it hurt your team?
I feel like really there's no difference. It's still Alabama. They still have the same mindset. They still have the same players. Oh, the players are treated differently with the different coaches, but I feel like at the same time they're treated the same. Because the way Nick Saban is he's a motivated type coach. You have your certain sections of a team builder and improviser between all 3, but they're all rather balanced out. And then you have the team lift up, like the coach spirit. And I feel like Nick Saban is like a high improviser. Of course, he's one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. And at the same time, his team, I heard that they go into the game knowing they're going to win, and they're just putting out the plans. To where, like, in their head, they know they're coming into this game heavily favored. Alabama's always favored in every game they're in because it's Alabama. Alabama has a big reputation past couple of years. And so they go into the game knowing they can win. They go into the game mentally going to win. They just have to execute it. And I believe that's what they do, and that's why they're successful.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things that I've heard Saban talk about is and I think he was answering, it may have been last year or the year before last when he was answering a reporter, but he was talking about how hard it is to game over game when you're winning to continue to get the best out of your players. And that is a challenge. And I mean, I don't think that I think that translates to football. I think that goes into every walk of life. When you have some success as a leader, it's difficult to continue to draw the best out of your players. And I think I think that sums up Nick Saban. It's like you said, when they go into each game, they know they're going to win because the players, every game, they're trying to outdo what they did last time. They are great, but they try to be greater every time.
Pretty much when I'm watching Alabama game, sorry, what?
No, I was just saying that's just difficult to do when you have success to continue to be successful. You can get complacent very easily. But to ask these kids to go out and be perfect every game and expect that out of them and then get it that's some crazy leadership.
I got to be honest. I have no idea what's that like. I mean, I do it all the time. I just win, and I stay motivated, and it's not a problem for me. I don't know what he's talking about. What's going on, Trenches? How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. One more day till the big feast. Question, Fusion, do you have a YouTube channel?
I did at the time, but my mom told me I'm not old enough, so I do not.
Well,
oh man, with his knowledge at his age, imagine how much he could build that channel over time.
I'm about to kick him. I'm about to kick him off mine before he takes my channel over.
No, just being a part of it feels good to me, Brett.
Oh no, man, I'm embarrassed. I'm a 15, 16-year-old Auburn fan over here making me look slack.
I
can't have that.
Making you look like Bo Nix.
Hey, you gotta be careful. You can't call me out like that. Hey, against LSU, I figured out we do have a backup quarterback.
There you go.
We were up 48-11, and Coach actually signed one. I don't know if it was an offensive lineman or not, but we have one.
But Keith, I think you hit on the reason with Dabo earlier. I was sitting there listening. I truly think the reason he's really upset was he looked at that as their bounce back, get the team under control game, and I think that's what really pissed him off.
He wanted to get Trevor a start. He wanted to beat up on somebody. He had to. Well, first of all, those teams don't like each other, so that game is circled every year for both teams, and so it was an opportunity to go out there and beat Florida State, 55-0, and have Trevor throw for 5 touchdowns and 450
yards.
Get
him back in a rhythm.
Rebuild confidence.
Yeah, and I mean, and not only did they not get to play it, they traveled all the way down there and then got canceled. And then I think also you could probably say that there might be a little bit of an embarrassment on their side that they traveled all the way down there and their guy that they took with them is the one that tested positive and causes you not to play.
Yeah.
No.
But it's weird though. I heard y'all saying.
It's not our fault. What are you talking about? They wouldn't let us play.
Right.
Yeah. I heard y'all saying earlier, like, any chance I get to rag on Florida State, I'm like, man, I live in Florida. That's probably the only team in Florida I'd actually root for.
Yeah. Well, I used to be a big Florida State fan when I was younger, and
Jameis Winston and Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah.
That's about it.
All my buddies are Florida State.
To me, they ruined it for me.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston and Jimbo's when I start like, all right, if Florida State goes 0-12, I'll be all right with it.
Yeah.
It's funny nowadays you think of Jameis Winston, you think of the Buccaneers, and then you go, oh shoot, he won a national championship?
Yeah. I think of crab legs.
Yeah.
That's what I think of. Free shoes you.
I mean, he wasn't the first one though. You go back to who was it? Who was the running back years ago that stole all the laptops or whatever?
Yeah.
I forget who that was.
What's up, Michael Porter?
And it's funny
I don't know about that one.
I have a
Trey?
group of friends, my closest friends. They're all they're Florida State boosters. Their grandparents, were season ticket holders. Season tickets down, and so I get to rag on them with Florida State. They're part of my reason for the Florida State hatred because they're big SEC haters. They think that they believe in the SEC bias and all this stuff, and so I get to hear that all the time.
When you're that good.
Yeah,
I'm
when you're good,
towards Jacksonville, so you can't go Florida. I can't root for Miami. I've always hated the Hurricanes.
Well, that's
Central Florida. As soon as they claimed a fake national championship, I was out. My wife went to USF, so I'll pull for them. But let's be real, it's not really football at that point. So I got to go Florida State.
Well, I tell you what's funny is I tell my friends one of the things I always joke about is. With Florida State, I hate them so bad that I get to be a Gator fan once a year.
Oh yeah, no.
I get to be a Gator fan once a year that weekend.
So
I have never liked Florida State. I have hated them the whole time. I've never ever liked FSU, and it's more of a legacy. Well, it was really not really the team; it was the fans, man. Damn fans! I couldn't stand the fans. The fans was just back when FSU was
in the '90s. I was gonna say in the '90s is like every other person you saw on the street had something Florida State on.
Wearing
way up here in Georgia. It's like, geez, man.
I'll run into different Gator fans than I am because that's the fans I can't stand.
The reason I couldn't
I
stand
hear
a
it
lot
all
of
the
the fans,
time.
man, the reason I couldn't stand a lot of the fans where I'm from wasn't because they were like FSU fans. It was because almost none of the people, I won't say none, I'll say almost none of the people that grew up where I grew up had enough money to go to any of the games. None of them had enough money to have cable to even watch the game. They had just enough money to get over to the mall the next town over and buy the hat. That's it.
I've never been to a college football game.
Getting that Bobby Bowden special.
Man, there was so many people that were FSU fans just because FSU was winning. I'm sure Alabama can relate.
Yeah, Auburn cannot. No, everybody. If I tell them, they ask me like, "What's your favorite college football team?" Like an Auburn, like why? They give me one of the "Who are you?" looks. So I have to explain it out. I'm Cam Newton fan, and it's just the fact that they're always underdogs kind of gets me.
I'll tell you who's an underdog. Cam Newton's wardrobe. That thing's an underdog for real. Last time I saw Cam Newton, he looked like that mountain climber.
Oh, now it looks like now it looks like a unicorn with his hair sticking up.
I don't know what he's doing, man.
I don't either. He says looked it up because I thought I was very confused. I asked, or I was like, I saw him. I saw his new hair. I was like, what is this? So I looked it up, and he said it was a new style to prove that NFL stars can be who they want to be, and it's not under the pressure. But I mean, if that's who you want to be, then
man, what's this guy talking about? Does he not know who Dennis Rodman is? Dennis Rodman had multicolored hair. What was it back in the mid to late 90s, Keith?
Mm-hmm.
I do not know Dennis Rodman. I've heard of him. Yes. Wait,
Dennis Rodman
rocking wedding dresses.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman
makes
Rodman makes Cam Newton look like a poser, man.
Was it?
But Cam Newton was the number one rebounder every year, so Dennis could back it up.
Yeah,
Dennis could back it up. Dennis was a guy, you didn't know what color his hair was going to be when he came out of the locker room. It might be red, it might be yellow, it might be 4 or 5 colors. He had earrings, which I had earrings. He had tattoos up and down his arms. He was married to Carmen Electra, walk around in wedding dresses. He took pictures, and this is probably too much for your young ears, but he took pictures laying naked on a motorcycle. I'm not joking.
Sounds about right.
Nope.
And I'm like this with Cam Newton. I'm like, either step your game up or turn it off.
Yep.
Pick something. Impress me.
And after all of that,
he impressed me against the Ravens. I feel like he could win comeback player of the year this year. Maybe. Ryan Tannehill.
After all of that, didn't they send Dennis Rodman on like a foreign relations trip too?
North Korea.
North Korea.
Like, this is the guy we're sending over to. I think it was like, I think they had like they arrested somebody or something, right? And he was over there trying to get them.
Yeah, because they couldn't find anybody else crazy enough to want to go to North Korea.
Well, and then not only that, but like if we lose him, it won't be that much of a loss, really.
I think that I think Kim Jong Il, Kim Jong Un, I think they're huge basketball fans, but still.
They were huge '90s Bulls fans.
Yeah.
Listen,
you got a better shot finding a Vandy fan.
I was a big Rodman fan. I really enjoyed watching Rodman play. He was super aggressive back in the day when you were allowed to be aggressive. I like watching Charles Barkley. I like watching back when I thought basketball was a real sport. I don't feel like basketball is a real sport anymore. I just don't.
Well, what about Northwestern going to the Big Ten championship? Do they stand a chance?
I don't know. I haven't. I don't keep up with those teams. I mean, the only time I leave. Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you though, I was shocked at JT Daniels. He did something. Of course, the scoreboard didn't say it, but his stats did.
Yeah, I mean that was like I said in the chat earlier. I think his performance outdid even the wildest expectations that people had. I mean, that game was close, but I mean to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, we just haven't seen that in so long. So I don't think any Georgia fan would ever tell you they expected that on any Saturday.
Let me ask you this, and this is what I was thinking the other day. I was like, okay, so we've played 3 teams now that have explosive pass offenses. Every single one is exposed to our defense. Should we start worrying about whether or not Kirby can adapt his great defense to this style of offense?
Well, I think I think it's addition by subtraction, and I think that the more offense you have, the less offense they have.
That's
And
right.
so if you look at how much play time we had the ball versus how much possession time Mississippi State had, it was very one-sided. Mississippi State had the ball way more than we did. And so I think as our offense improves, you're going to see that number come back to balance. Also, that was the worst rushing game I think we have had in many years.
Yeah, since the 90s, I think.
Yeah. So I think that when you've got a guy like Todd Monken who, when you go back and you watch the tape and you can see the plays unfold, you can see how the repetition of certain plays has an impact later in the game. And I know this is going to sound weird to some people, but back in the day, me and Mr. Keith here used to play quite a bit of like Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct and Tekken and all kind of stuff like that. And what you would run into is you would play somebody who would start with the same attack, and then the moment that you thought you had seen it enough that you could adapt to it, they would change and hit you with something else because they suckered you into it. And I've been watching Todd Monken do that. And you have to be looking for it to see it. And so I think that if Todd Monken is smart enough to figure out how to do that, Todd Monken is probably going to be smart enough to start helping out with some of these defensive air raid offenses. Because, I mean, Kirby Smart is going to have to ask him. Because even if Kirby Smart is running the defense on his own, he's great against the run game most of the time. But whenever you see 85 passes across the middle that are basically uncontested, there's a problem.
I think they went into that game completely saying we're going to just let them have everything in front and we're going to rally and tackle. And we're going to hope that they're going to make a mistake here or there. We're going to get a turnover here or there, or we're just going to stop them short. And unfortunately, that just didn't happen.
The turnover never came.
Yeah, and so, I was pretty surprised that we didn't press up a little bit more after halftime. But it was a strange game, and I know a lot of people were dogging Georgia's defense in that game. I think that was a game plan decision, and I think you got to give some credit to Mississippi State too. I mean, they've been perfecting that style of play, and game over game, they're going to get better at it too. So they didn't make the mistakes that you saw them make against some of the other teams this year, where they. So I mean,
hang on 1 second, guys. Hang on 1 second.
All right.
Hey, Fusion. I'm going to go ahead and drop you off, man. I got another guy who wants to join the stream, and 5 on here is just too many. But I do appreciate you being on, sir.
All right, definitely, man. Thank you. You guys have a good Thanksgiving.
All right,
you too. Same to you, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not saying any excuses.
Who do you think really runs our defense?
I mean,
you think it's mainly Kirby?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I don't know if I think Lanning and Kirby.
Okay.
Maybe I guess collaborate. Maybe.
Why not start doing a little bit what Saban does, and he's getting the best minds he can and just releasing control. I'm not saying go out and get this guy, but I'm saying like if we had a Muschamp or something like that can come in, not miss a beat on defense, and just let Kirby be the head coach. Oh, you think that'd be more beneficial in the long run?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think I've always thought, and see, college football from my understanding for a while, you always had the head coaches have historically been one of the coordinators. You would have where I think sometimes I think Mark Rick has done that where he'll just I'm going to be the head coach. I'm also going to be the OC, and then we'll just hire a defensive guy, or it's relatively new idea I think for colleges to hire a high-end coordinator on both sides of the ball, and everywhere you see that happening, you see success. These colleges have enough money now to pay. I mean, these guys are getting paid crazy amounts of money. And so, I totally think that if you could give Kirby, let him just do the administrative tasks and the game planning, and give the defense off to somebody. Go out and hire an actual,
I mean, if you get Muschamp, that'd be
Yeah.
perfect because he's an alma mater. He's just as good as Kirby on defense.
I really was expecting that to kind of happen already. That for us to go after Muschamp as defensive coordinator, I think that would have been awesome.
Great.
But him getting that head coaching job in South Carolina kind of derailed that.
Yeah, well, I think that it's going to be. I think it would be somewhat difficult, even though Muschamp didn't have a lot of success. I think it'd be somewhat difficult to get him to take that step back down to being a defensive coordinator, even though it's probably what's best for him. I think he's probably going to want to maintain that head coach job somewhere else.
Hey, Bobo did
but if it doesn't come, the alma mater's got to be number one in his mind.
I agree.
Yeah.
What's going on, Jake?
No, can you hear us, bud? No, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, I mean, money talks, right? I mean, there's coordinator jobs out there to make a tremendous amount of money.
But I think that's what makes Saban so special, man, is he gets these minds in there. He lets them do their job, builds them up, and builds them a career from down the road.
Yeah.
And he just worries about being the coach, and I love that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And going back to what you're talking about, I think, especially in the Alabama and Florida game, I think our defense suffered a little bit because our offense couldn't do anything. We have, even after the Alabama game, I think me and you, Brett, talked. I mean, that game come down to quarterback play. Yeah. We have, if we have a decent quarterback, if we weren't running a walk on, a 5'9" walk on quarterback, how does that game turn out? How does that game turn out when we can hit the open guys? You go back, and I've been saying this week after week, you go back and look at the game film from that game, we have receivers running all over the place.
Yep. I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Florida game could have went either way if we'd had JT. I don't think we're beating Bama that early in the season with that many question marks at the quarterback, no matter who's in.
Maybe not. Exactly.
We would have had another chance if we'd have had JT. Yeah.
I'm not saying that we would have if JT would have played in that game, given everything we know. I'm saying a healthy JT that was able to start game one, and if we would have rolled into that game with a seasoned quarterback that was just good. He didn't have to be great, didn't have to be Heisman quarterback, didn't have to be anything. Just a quality college quarterback that a team of our ilk should have year after year. If we would have rolled into that Alabama game, I think we could have had a really strong chance of winning that game. I think our offense would have stayed on the field a little bit longer. Alabama would have had a few less possessions. We would have hit some of these open guys, and you could see a little bit of a swing in the score there.
But a lot of things would have had to go that way, man. Like it's not even just him being healthy. JT Newman should have never transferred. If any of that was going to happen. Yeah. So I mean, that was it's a big if. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm not saying that JT should have started that game or with the injuries or anything. Yeah. I'm saying in a perfect world where we had a quality college quarterback that started this season and was our quarterback the whole year and played, and we weren't using a walk-on. I mean, hell, if Fromm would have been here, maybe we would have had a better chance.
All right, so I got to ask.
I'll tell you what, Clemson's going to have a hand for week one. Yes, sir.
So here's the question for both of you guys. What does the success of JT Daniels mean for Brock Vandagriff?
I don't think it means anything for Brock. I think it means everything for Carson Beck.
Well, what I'm saying is do you think that
he
pulls him back in towards Georgia? Because I would have to say, after watching the way the quarterback situation has been grossly mishandled, that now he's like, all right, they definitely can use a good quarterback. Because I'm a Georgia fan, probably going to be one till I die, unless something insane happens. But whenever a diehard Georgia fan is looking at you and go, we have grossly mismanaged the quarterback position. Here you are, you got a kid who's coming in who is a pure talent, at least seems to be. He's got to be thinking, man, do I really want to go there? Can they really use me? Because they couldn't use Justin Fields and he left and now he's doing great. I mean, I think it's a
You talking
legitimate
about
concern.
Brock.
Yeah. Brock.
Prior to this, yeah, for sure. And then we talked about this, I think, last week. That there was some rumblings that potentially Brock could be looking at. Hey, is there something something systemic at Georgia with handling quarterbacks? I mean, what's going on? And is this really where I want to go?
I asked Brett the same question a few weeks ago. If Brock was your kid, would you want him going to Georgia?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think it goes beyond JT Daniels. I think if a true quarterback like Brock or anyone else looked at that Florida game and said, okay, Monken's building something here, because if you look, there's a lot of open receivers that I could have hit.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Well,
I think he's got 2 weeks that he's starting to build up on.
Yeah, and I think this kid's. I mean, I think he's a Georgia fan at heart too. I mean, where he plays high school ball is right outside of Athens, so I mean, I think part of him wants to play there.
I agree. Let's talk about the most impressive stat or non-stat of the Georgia versus Mississippi State game. I really think that the most important aspect that we had from that game was not the 400 yards. It was not the 4 touchdowns. I think the most impressive feature of that entire game was the fact that you could put the entire offense on pass mode and win a game against anybody, whether it's a cupcake, whether it's a real SEC team, whether it is an elite SEC team. We were able to take, and even though we were 100% one-dimensional, we still won that game. And the one dimension that we had access to was the pass game. I think that Mississippi State went into that game. They sold out that they're going to stop the run, and they're going to make Georgia beat us with their arm. And surprise, surprise, we had a quarterback that could. Yeah, that's what I think the biggest takeaway in that whole game.
That was definitely a good timing, because I am very comfortable in saying that if DeJuan Mathis and Stetson Bennett were our 2 quarterbacks in that game, we walk away with a loss.
Yes.
Big time.
We lose that game. And so perfect timing.
Go ahead.
Nah, is it? Go ahead.
I saw a GIF that kind of, it put it perfect. And it was, how Rodgers felt when he saw JT come in, and it was literally the whole clip from Tombstone on Your Huckleberry. Because the whole time thinking, they play like Stetson, we got this, and then JT walks in, oh, I got you.
Yeah, that one was.
To me, the most impressive part, man, was he didn't force anything.
No,
not one play. I thought that could have been a turnover.
It was one to get right off the hands. Yeah, that was a mistake. The mistake there. That was the only mistake he made.
He needed a trampoline to throw the ball. That
yeah. Got the handlebars going on.
Yeah. And that's the first time in a long time we've had a quarterback win us a game.
Yeah, and like there was a lot of nuance to what was going on too. That touchdown throw to Pickens, man. I haven't seen a Georgia quarterback make a throw like that in a while. No. I mean, there was so much nuance to what was going on there. I mean, he rolled out to the right. Pickens had that guy on his right hip. It's perfect coverage to throw that ball down and away. And he was jumping when he threw it. I mean, he was completely off the ground, threw the ball perfectly. I mean, that was just that was a crazy throw. Of course, Pickens makes a catch. Yeah,
the one that Pickens dropped, like Brett was showing on his video earlier, was to me the most impressive, because he dodged 2, stepped into the pocket, around, and then just launched a dart.
Mm-hmm.
That one. Yeah, I mean, he basically had one guy that was running at him unabated to the quarterback, and he just gets he sees it. He doesn't panic. If that's Jake Fromm lays down.
And that was right, because wasn't that the series where he throws the pass to Pickens, it's dropped, or Karras is dropped, and then
goes back to Pickens,
back to him, it's dropped, and then it's 3rd and 20, and he's like, "Yeah, let's do it again, man." And then in the press conference, he's like, "I knew it was a touchdown as soon as they lined up a cover 0 on 3rd and 20. I knew we were going to score." I was excited.
That was the first game in a while when it was past 3rd and 15. I was like, we're going to get a first down.
Yeah.
Every play, you felt it after like 3rd quarter. You're like,
you're going to catch it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I like, and what I call the Disney dogs. They just kind of see what's on the scoreboard, right? They don't read further into it. My opinion is this: somebody in the offensive play calling figured out how to be aggressive for a change. It was not conservative. It was not just throw it a couple yards short of the first down marker and try to pick up the first down. That got thrown out the window, and I hope Todd Monk is the one that did it. And he said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to live and die by being aggressive. And that's exactly what happened. Now think about this. First pass, 1st and 10. It's a bomb, right? Hits a guy in the hands, drops it in the end zone. It's a 30-yard pass. Okay. Go back to the huddle, and they go, you know what? That pass is still there, dude. Pickens is like, throw it to me, bro. I got it. Throws it down the middle. Gets knocked out of his hands. Pickens is like, we still got this. And so 3 downs in a row, game is tight. And we're still throwing for the freaking end zone. Any other game, that would have been Stetson Bennett, I would have been losing my mind. I would have been chewing on the mantelpiece, yelling at the TV. Mm-hmm. But after watching what this guy had done all game, I was like, that's the right call.
Well, you listen to I don't know if you guys both listened to the press conferences, but, especially the Kirby press conference. One of the things that jumped out to me, and kind of goes into what you're just saying there, Brett, is Kirby pretty much insinuated that, hey, me and Monken, we guys, we have all this coaching knowledge, and we've seen that the kid just, he was struggling. And so we went with Stetson and DeJuan. We thought they gave us the best chance to win. And so, Stetson was doing great up until the hit in the Florida game. And, we just think that those guys gave us the best chance to win. And so it's almost as if he's kind of throwing shade a little bit at JT's performance in practice, which I'm fine with. And that makes the most sense to me, because I don't think this is an injury thing at this point in the season. But to have that be the case, right, leading into this game, that you're suspect about his ability to lead this team, and then to go into this game and have the game plan that they had, that we're just going to throw the damn ball deep all over the field. Why would they have that much confidence in JT Daniels if they didn't think that earlier in the season he didn't, just a week prior or 2 weeks prior, he didn't give us the best chance to win? But yet he's going to start and we're going to throw bombs everywhere. We're going to throw darts everywhere because we think he can do it. I mean, where does it come from? Like, who made those decisions? It's crazy.
Well, here was my assessment, because I drive a lot, man, and I got to be honest with you. This has been racking my brain for a hot minute, and the only thing that I can really put my finger on and say, I think this is the problem. I think Todd Monken draws up great plays. I think they're coaching them the right way. I've seen several things in the Georgia offense where they're running these little rub routes where we've seen other teams do them a million times, and we would get mad because it wouldn't get called. And I'm like, why in the hell aren't we doing that? And guess what? When we played Mississippi State, we started running those same routes. We had some go routes. We had some over-the-shoulder passes. There were a couple of passes that were a little short. And I'm like, this guy is making every dang throw. Crossbody, downfield, under pressure, underneath, over the top, back shoulder fade, middle of the end zone, high toss, low toss on the ground, sideline throws. There ain't a throw that you call that he didn't throw it right.
Yep, and that's why I think that Monken and Kirby learned during that game what they had.
Yeah.
With JT. I think he completely surprised them.
Well, I agree. And the other thing that I think, I just had an idea of something I'm going to do with that bulb here in a few minutes. The other thing that I think is, I really, honestly, truly, 1,000% think that they are assessing the quarterbacks wrong. That's got to be it, because that would show why Jake Fromm had lackluster performance. That would show why they couldn't get the most out of Justin Fields. That would show why they started Bennett over Daniels. That would show why that they started DeJuan over Daniels. I mean, all of that is not assessing, in my opinion, assessing a quarterback properly or having a proper method to assess a quarterback. because when you put him in the game in a real game environment, he didn't have one lucky throw. He didn't have 28 lucky throws. Technically, he must have had like 34 lucky throws because there was 4 that hit him in the hands that they dropped.
Yeah.
So
you know what
to
else I
me,
saw in that game that was
What's that?
different? Which I know, as a fan, you read into everything. You're going to look at everything and try to figure out what's different. Go back, rewatch the game, the Mississippi State game. Every pre-huddle before the offense takes the field, not once did I see Kirby Smart in that huddle. And I think that makes a difference. I think Monken now has full control.
I mean, it definitely seems that way. I mean, it seems that it's been kind of slowly moving towards that all year, because it's like we said earlier. I mean, the defense, the defenses or the offense wasn't putting up great numbers this year.
Mm.
But if you look at what's happening on the field, we had receivers running wide open. We've had the plays called. We've had the right plays called in the right situations. I mean, you go back to the Florida game, Stetson Bennett misses 2 guys right down the middle that should have been touchdowns. That happened at least once in the Alabama game. And then there was another time in the Alabama game we have a third and medium that we don't convert, and James Cook standing over there by the sideline, nobody within 10 yards of him. And he never saw him. He never checked down to him, never looked over there and threw the ball. So I mean, I think Georgia now is seeing what can happen when you actually let a 5-star quarterback come in and throw the ball. You compare it, you put that into a Monken offense where you actually have receivers running open, and you got a guy that's big and tall enough and is confident enough in himself, which I think was Fromm's problem. But this guy's confident in himself that I'm going to get the ball to the guy that needs to have the ball. And you could hear it in his press conference. He said it. He's like, if you're not going to throw the ball to Burton, to Dominic, and to Pickens, why recruit him? And that's what I've been saying all along. These guys don't have to be wide ass open to throw the ball to them. Throw the ball. Let him catch it.
I know this is probably going to tick off some Georgia fans, but I like the fact that Daniels is not lockstep with Kirby's assessment of quarterbacks. I like the fact that he walked out there and he was like, "I've been ready to go since in Arkansas, man.
What's he got to lose?"
He's like, "It's not been a health issue." Like, he laid all that.
He did. He says like, but at the same time, though, he was very appreciative and very careful about what he said about the coaches. But he said it straight up. He's like, I've been cleared to play since Arkansas, and since then it's been a coaching decision. And it's like, ouch.
Well, and it's not a lie. It's not like
you got to.
Well, even the coaches have said that. Even the coaches have said, and I said this early on. I was like, if Kirby wants to save himself some face, he can say it's an injury problem. But it hasn't been an injury problem. And JT is probably tired of everybody asking him if he's babying his knee. He's probably tired of that. He's probably like, no, I'm ready to play. The coaches won't put me in. I'm ready to play. And so you see JT Daniels. And JT Daniels over here sitting on a wealth of talent. And he's watching Stetson freaking Bennett throw interception after interception. And he's got to be over there in Todd Monken's earphones going, "You don't put me in this mother game, man."
Well, think about if you're JT. You get on that podium. Finally, you get to talk and say your piece. So I'm going to say whatever I feel, because if Kirby's mad at it, you can look Kirby dead in the face and like, "Dude, I just put 401 and 4 touchdowns. I dare you to bench me next week and watch the fans erupt."
Well, so I mean, he spoke very well too. It was almost like it was almost like he was fed the questions or something. I mean, it was crazy. I mean,
I would imagine this young man has had a lot of time to think about what
exactly.
He was
You know it. That's exactly what I was kind of getting at. Is that I think he was prepared for this moment. He knew that once I get the reins and I go out there and I'm going to do my thing, and these are the questions I'm going to have to answer. And what am I going to say? Because he had some prepared statements. I mean, he was able to answer things, and it was beautiful. I mean,
well, here's the thing is that he said what he wanted to say, but he said it smartly. He said it wisely. He said it was sharp. But here's the thing: there is nothing in that press conference that he said that Kirby Smart hadn't already said. Kirby Smart said, "We put in the quarterback who we thought was going to give us the best chance." So what? That's a coach's decision. So what does JT Daniels said? I've been ready to play. The reason I didn't play was because it was a coach's decision. So the coaches can't really say nothing to him about that.
Yeah.
I like the fact
But
that
he
he
did
called
say
him
his
out.
progression's gotten better. JT covered himself and said, my progression got better every week.
Yeah, he's getting stronger.
Well, of course, of course you're going to get better unless your name's Stetson Bennett. But I mean, everybody's going to get better. So,
yeah,
he can still get taller.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, these guys. I mean, these talents like these 5-star talents like this. Sometimes you got to just let them go, man. Practice. We talking about practice. Put them in the damn game.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Put them in the game, man. Let them see what he can do. What do we got to lose at this point? I mean,
well, here's the thing.
We waited too long. That's what we had to lose.
He's been a full-time play caller. And he was a full-time play caller his sophomore year in high school. Now, if you've ever coached any kind of sport, football is a game it's chess for 40 seconds. And then it is reckless abandon for 5. That's football. And so whenever you see that 40-second go on, you always see the quarterback looking at the sideline and then looking at his wrist and then looking at the sideline and then telling everybody to play. That happens to juniors and seniors in high school. This guy was so good as a sophomore, he was calling them on his own. So by the time he's played, Chris Brookard, let me make sure I read that right. Somebody bribed him.
And you missed when I was in here standing up for your Seminoles, man.
Man, he was going to town. He almost told me. I thought he was going to kick me out of my own stream, man.
If next week he throws 3 picks, then you just hope he don't throw a 4th one.
Then he's still better than Stetson.
He's still better than
I've seen more.
Now, unfortunately,
I've seen more in that one. I've seen more of that one game with JT Daniels to know that he doesn't have luck on his side. He's got talent. And so, yeah, he may come out and have a bad game. Look at how many bad games I suffered through with Jake Fromm. My goodness.
Well, it's like I said. I mean, we got one data point, right? Which is one game. Is they played to stop the run. They played cover 0 a lot. The passes were there for JT. The only thing, he may struggle. I mean, I'm expecting him to struggle whenever they start having some better coverages. But we had a quarterback finally this year. We get to be excited because we have a quarterback that hit the guy that was open. I mean, that's a simple thing, right? I mean,
small victories.
Exactly. I mean, he may go out there and struggle, and I kind of expect him to. I mean, he doesn't, he's still kind of fresh, but at least the guys that were running open got the football to him.
I want to assess his statement right here. He says, "I'm just saying, Mississippi State's defense ain't much to shred," and that is a true statement. He's absolutely correct. However, regardless of that, if you look at all of the cupcake teams that Georgia has played with all of the quarterbacks we have had since 2012, 2013, no quarterback at UGA has done that against any team since Aaron Murray. And Aaron Murray only did it 4 times. So when we were playing Northwest Middle School of Chesapeake Bay High, we couldn't put 400 yards on the air on them. So, to go out and do it against Mississippi State, granted, it's not Clemson, it's not LSU. I mean, it's not Clemson, it's not LSU of last year. I'm still kind of impressed, and I'm probably going to stay impressed. Yeah. Well, but you're right. Their defense is not the best in the world.
Is Kentucky light years ahead of Mississippi State in defense?
No, probably not.
We only put 14 on Kentucky. So, I'm going to be ecstatic seeing 4 touchdowns by quarterback.
So please understand, I'm not here to tell you that Georgia is a national championship contender right now. I'm here to tell you that I'm excited that Georgia is showing that it can be a legitimate elite team soon. That's what I'm excited about.
I'll give you 401 reasons why I'm excited about next year. The Prodigy Zone.
Oh yeah, there is my prodigal son returns. We just got to get him to be a Georgia fan.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey,
Hi.
do you think you think that you'll ever be a Georgia fan?
Well,
Oh, there's hope.
there is.
Deep
I do
South
like
over
Georgia.
rivalry.
I do like Georgia. Georgia is actually. I like Georgia. I liked them in the national championship against Alabama.
Now you can't like us. You can't like us just by proxy. Now you got to like us or not like us.
No, I liked them. I liked them. When you guys beat Oklahoma, I got respect, and so I started liking you.
Listen here, nobody was more surprised about that game than Georgia fans. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I feel like Oklahoma just
Comeback?
has been playing. Every time Oklahoma gets into the playoffs, they just have to play the hardest teams. Like LSU last year, they didn't stand a chance. Kyler Murray against Alabama didn't stand a chance.
Yeah,
So,
Chris Berger says Vandy had over 400 yards of offense on Mississippi State. But yeah, you're right, they did. But 400 yards for Georgia through the air is super impressive. No, we did not. Did we? It was like 409 yards of offense, had 8 yards of rushing. Make me want to go hide. Make me want to go hide in the closet and cry about it. It's terrible. I mean,
that's
I've
weird.
always
Georgia is a run offense.
Not anymore, apparently. That disappeared.
I didn't get to see the Georgia game this week. Actually, I watched the final ends of it, but I didn't get to see it. Obviously, I was pulling for the Bulldogs.
Right.
I would say it's the same as every week, but it wasn't.
Mississippi State Bulldogs too.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to not be happy about against the Mississippi State game. I'm not happy about any of it, other than the fact that we got a quarterback that can hit the open guy. Then,
dude, I'll take a 7-point win against Mississippi State if it means we have a quarterback throwing. I'm sorry, I'm still happy about that win because it shows me hope for what our offense could be.
Ain't nobody giving JT the Heisman, my dude.
No, I'm not. I'm not giving JT the Heisman, but I am
not at all.
I am happy that we've got a better quarterback than what we have been showing because, quite frankly, it was beyond the point of being an eyesore. It was to the point of being an embarrassment. To have all this talent and not be able to do anything with it is quite frankly embarrassing.
Yeah, we got to see what he can do the rest of the year. But to put up a game in your first game as a Bulldog, to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and
I needed somebody that had another story I could get behind, and he's got a good story too. So,
So you may not have thought of this, but so the FCC championship is Florida versus Alabama, right?
Yes, so far.
Not actually. Actually, if you think about it, if Auburn wins this Saturday, probably not. But I'm in a different universe where somehow Auburn does win this. They beat Alabama and then they beat Texas A&M. We're in the FCC championship because those are the top 2 contenders.
Well, let's talk about that a second, real quick. First, I want to talk about what Jordan Bowman said, and then because this will only take a minute to put this to bed, and then we'll talk about the Auburn versus Alabama thing.
All right.
Mr. Bowman, thank you so much for your comments, sir. I greatly appreciate it, especially coming from somebody who's not in a conference. Let me be completely honest with you. The reason that SEC teams cheer for other SEC teams is because it is part of the tradition of SEC football. It's part of being in this conference is that you will pull for those guys because being Southern's a way of life. I understand y'all Clemson, y'all in South Carolina, I get it, but y'all in the ACC, the Atlantic Coastal Conference. Y'all's teams are scattered all about, and let's be honest with you. Usually on any given year, you can point out 5 or 6 teams in the SEC that are usually pretty good. They usually win their bowl games. They usually have a winning record. But in the ACC, you kind of got this hodgepodgery of 1 or 2 teams that are good, and then the rest are like, I didn't even know they had a team. So I can understand why it would be difficult if being in the ACC to cheer for other ACC teams because they're all so terrible. This year, though, is a little bit different for you guys, but usually it's the other way around.
I mean, if you want to talk about it, Jordan, we could beat in Tallahassee, and then I might show up, I might not, and you can cry about it.
Chris is like, being Southern has nothing to do with it. All right, Chris, then what does it have to do with it, sir? I want to hear it.
Well, I'm upside down. I'm sorry.
Who's Chris's team?
That's my Seminole buddy I was talking about earlier.
There we go.
Well, don't get me wrong. I don't love every team in the SEC. I can't stand Auburn, and I certainly can't stand Florida.
I'm sorry, you can't. What do you not like about Auburn?
I'll say it's not really that hard of a game for us, Brett.
I'm not. Listen, I'll tell you right now. I don't care how bad I can beat Auburn.
Yeah,
I don't. I just no. No.
What is it with Auburn though? Like, is it the players?
I don't know.
Is it the fan base? Is it Gus? If it was Gus, I could reason with you.
Gus is part of the problem.
Okay.
But the stupid luck y'all have drives me insane.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's so makes sense. You mad because of the miracle in Jordan Hare?
Exactly. And the other miracles that y'all have had.
The kick six.
Yep.
You know, that might
there's tons of them. There's tons of them, and I'm not going to relive all of that PTSD. Thank you very much. But at the end of the day, for me, FSU, Miami, Georgia Tech, all Southern teams, just like the SEC. No, they are in the South, but they're not Southern teams. If you go to Miami, you will find they don't even have their own stadium for one. That's not a Southern team. If you go to Georgia Tech, you will find more people from overseas at that college than you will from the South. I drive by Georgia Tech on a regular basis, and half the time, unless you speak Vietnamese, Chinese, or Korean, you ain't going to be able to talk to nobody on campus, especially if you're over by the IT buildings.
I'll tell you, if you want to talk about Auburn, I can tell you, you got the tradition of it just being a rivalry, but I'm not the biggest fan of Cam Newton, and then you throw in Nick Fairley and guys like that, and there's some dirty players come through that school, man.
Which team, Keith and Brett? Which team do y'all not like the most out of the Georgia rivals?
Oh, Florida for me.
Same.
Brett's gonna say Auburn.
Yeah.
Like,
Nope.
Really?
I think that's an interesting
Are you gonna say
question.
Tennessee, Brett?
No.
It's an interesting question because older Georgia fans
But you probably don't like Juwan Jennings.
They tend to hate Auburn more. That's more of a historic rivalry. The newer generation Georgia fans is all in on the Florida rivalry. I think that's the way it appears.
It's mainly because last 20 years it's the only game that's really mattered, or 10 years it's the only game that's really mattered for the East.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brett.
There's two teams I hate with equal passion.
Bama.
Nope.
Whoa. I don't know where
Carolina.
Nope. Carolina's Uncle Lou's.
Jake Bentley went to Utah.
And that's what I'm trying to throw out anything at this point.
Like, he just pretty much gave up. Like, that loss last year just absolutely disappeared.
Florida's won.
Oh, okay.
I hate Florida so much that my wife latched on to me and would not let me out of the car because when we went down to Gainesville, she had a family member that was getting married. And I drove through the campus in the middle of the day, and I was fixing to get out of the car and put my hat on the Bull Gator down there and take my picture. My wife would not let me out of the car.
Nice. Is Tech the other?
Yep.
Okay. Because you're in state.
I can't stand Georgia Tech.
Because they're bees.
No. I used to get so upset whenever we would play Georgia Tech because they would constantly dive at our players' knees. Constantly.
That is stupid. I wish
that used to just
piss
me off to no end.
That can really mess you up.
Well, not only that, it has ended people's careers before.
And that game usually is historically right before, if we make an SEC championship game, it's right before it,
Yep. And it always makes me mad because back when they ran the triple option all the time, like it was almost counted on that you were going to have 1, 2, or 3 players go down because of those stupid blocks. Yeah. And the referees would never call them. And it used to it made my blood boil because I think it's petty. I think it's cheap. I think if you're going to play it, man up and block your guy. You don't do something petty like that. It's one football game. It's not worth it. And because even if you win the game, everybody knows the only way that you won a game was by playing like a bunch of whiny little whatevers. But yeah, that's mine.
Tech in Florida, so Auburn survives. Okay.
All right, so
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Let's go ahead and jump into the South Carolina Georgia game. Get your thoughts. We'll start with Trenches here. What you got?
I think you're going to see a huge improvement on the run game this week. I think we're going to make some holes, get it open. I don't think you're going to see JT throwing 4 touchdowns, maybe 2 or 3, but I think our run game's definitely coming back.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question since you made that comment.
Okay.
Do you think that with the performance of Jermaine Burton that he is now a more centralized target along with Pickens?
100%.
So I think the combination of those two guys will put us over 300 yards passing.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, man, with the way Burton go ahead. The way Burton and Pickens are doing, I think eventually, yeah, you got Kearse and everybody going, but I think Washington's about to start breaking out here soon.
Brett has a really cool icon.
What about you, Keith?
I think, I mean, they got the line at 21.5. I think this is a lot like we said in the Mississippi State game. I don't feel comfortable saying that we're going to cover those points. Not with what I've seen so far. I need to see more, but I do think there's going to be a little bit more focus on running the ball this week. I think they're going to try to be a little balanced to see what that can open up. I'm still hoping we see some deep balls. I think that's going to be, hopefully that's going to be a way of life, at least for the rest of the season, is trying to get Pickens and Burton the ball, when they're open. So,
is it weird that I'm more worried about our defense this week?
No, not at all. I mean,
it feels weird saying it this year.
Our defense,
but I feel more comfortable with our offense than our defense right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the offense has been fine all year. It's just we just didn't have a guy to get the damn ball to anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back and watch these games, and you see receivers all over the field that are wide open, and we're just not getting them the ball. And finally get somebody. Hopefully, like I said, I'm not anointing JT the savior yet. That's a great game that he had, but it was just nice to see a quarterback go out there and hit the open guy. I know it sounds really simple, but it's not something that we've had. I mean, Fromm, you can't even see that Fromm did that. I mean, Fromm,
never.
If the open guy was within 5 or 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, Fromm could hit him, and Fromm could make some really impressive throws sometimes. But it was obvious that he lacked a little bit of confidence in throwing the deep ball. And then you flip the script and see what JT did that series, where he threw, like you say, he threw the touchdown pass. Or threw the pass to the end zone. Pickens, it was dropped. Kearse, it was dropping on 3rd and 20. He's like, I'm going back again. I got confidence in myself, and I got confidence in the receivers that they're going to catch it, even though they've dropped it twice. I'm going to chunk it and let them throw it.
Honestly, the last quarterback Georgia's had that started and didn't do it, but had the ability to do it was Eason.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we expected out of Eason. And he probably would have if we would have, if everything would have worked out where he would have stayed. Yeah. If he hadn't got hurt, I mean, Fromm's not coming in that game. Eason's going to play that season. And, Eason had a real problem with overthrowing people, which, you can work on that. Overthrowing a receiver usually means an incomplete pass and not an interception. You can work on that.
Yeah.
Because that was the one thing I saw with JT, like the throw to Burton, one of the deep balls to Burton was severely underthrown. But again, throw the ball out there, and he made a play on it. He made a play.
Are you talking about the free play?
Yeah, the free play. Exactly, yeah. He puts that ball out about another 10 or 15 yards out in front of him. That's a touchdown in stride.
Well, it's like Brett said on this breakdown of the JT Daniels highlights, man, what I like the most is all of his passes were high. That way he knew he had the playmakers to get it. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, it's like
these are what you got.
You recruit these. Yeah, you recruit these receivers. Throw the ball. Sometimes they're not going to be wide open. Throw the ball. Let them jump up and catch it.
I think Georgia and South Carolina. I think I score prediction. I guess we could say 34-7 Georgia.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's a good cover.
I got 373 passing offensive passing yards. I got 420 total yards. Or no, more than that. You were right about how they're gonna increase their rushing game. The fact is with Kirby Smart, he likes to when he was with Alabama, Of course, he's not as good as Nick Saban is, but he's definitely a good coach for Georgia. And so, I'd say your rushing game, Zamir White, and who is his Dalvin Cook's brother? What's his name?
James Cook.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like they're gonna take totals together, and they're gonna equal out rather high. I'm saying both of them have over 80 yards, and just a dominant offensive game for Georgia. And I think they prove a point after having 2 rough games back to back.
Okay. Brett, did you bring enough to share with the class?
Yeah, I did actually. I have a question.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of my Dr. Disrespect impersonation?
I didn't catch it. Was it in the JT video or?
No, it was when I just shut the stream off randomly and run out of the room.
Oh yeah, you nailed it.
Chris. For those of you who don't know, Chris Brookert has been a friend of. He started out being a friend of Keith's, and then after me hanging around with him long enough, we became friends as well. Chris and his family actually, I believe, have their own clothing line. If you guys get a chance, go check it out. I think it's called Southern. What's it called, Keith?
Southern Roots.
What's it called, Chris? What's the name of the post?
Southern Salt Coastal. Yeah, post a link, dude. Let's do it.
Chris is good people. Southern Salt. Yep.
Definitely.
Chris, if you'll get with me after the show, man, we'll take your we'll take you guys' company link to your webpage, and we'll put it in as part of the description of the channel, so that it's a template so that it goes in every time. And that way, if people want to check out your stuff, they see mine, they can check yours out too. But Chris is good people. He's just got bad taste in football teams.
Probably said that for me too, wouldn't you?
No, y'all can win a game.
FSU eventually get it back together. I mean, firing Willie Taggart was probably the best thing that ever happened.
Florida State.
I think Willie Taggart just destroyed that community.
Absolutely, Chris. Feel free, buddy.
Florida State was a A team from the range of 2013 to 2016, and since the you remember the miracle against I think it was Georgia Tech, and the block field goal that went all the way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bray, you hungry, bro?
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah. That
it's like concrete getting smashed in my ear.
Sorry, man. Here, let me do this for you.
After that season, everything kind of started to shake for them. But I feel like Florida State definitely has a legacy. They're definitely one of the better teams. They definitely have a legacy as one of the better teams. More like we'll say more like an Alabama type, but not as good as Alabama has been.
I think Florida State, Florida State got hit with the 1-2 punch with Jimbo and then Willie. That set them back pretty heavily. I mean, Jimbo kind of cashing out on them, in this last year, not recruiting well and just kind of checking out. I mean, he was gone before he was actually gone. He was gone.
That's why Jimbo Fisher sounds familiar.
And so, and then Willie Taggart didn't really, and I think a lot of people, outside of FSU's fan base kind of saw that with Willie Taggart, like it's kind of a weird hire coming off of Jimbo. But yeah, I think they wanted to give him a chance, and he seemed to me maybe making some right decisions early on. But I think, like Chris said, no QB recruits, and they're bearing that right now. That is what's killing them. You look at what Blackman. I mean, I think he spent more time on his back than on his feet, and so they have no quarterback there, and so and then what Jimbo did to him, and then Willie Taggart, they're set back, and I think they'll be fine. They're, like you said, Fusion. They have the pedigree that they won't stay down long. I mean, their recruiting will pick up, and unfortunately, they're down there with Miami and all these guys that are actually doing well now. So the recruiting is going to be a little tough, but I think they'll turn it around for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this is really going to give them kind of an advantage, especially being in Florida. There are a lot of players that want to play for FSU. Their family Still, FSU is still recent enough that they can get good recruits. Now, they're not going to get a ton of 5-stars, but they should be able to recruit if they had a good coach and a good recruiter. They should be able to recruit at least along the lines of, I'd say, Tennessee. And I think that's enough to get that program jump-started with a good coach.
I was just about to ask y'all, who do y'all think's got a harder chance or a harder time digging out themselves out, Florida State or Tennessee?
Florida State for sure.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think Tennessee.
Pruitt's the
You remember
answer, man. I think
Tennessee
they
was
took a
actually
huge
ranked
step
this
back.
year.
Yeah, I'm with you, Trenches. I'm not a big Pruitt fan.
I'm not a Pruitt fan.
No.
But what I'm saying is I think that there are enough.
Hey, we win enough there, bud. You want to trade spots?
You want to trade teams? I don't think so. First of all, Pruitt's a jerk, right? And everybody that's ever worked with Pruitt will tell you he's a jerk. So he's hard to work with. But I think that he is going to be that coach that will get that program from where it's at now to a spot where it's good enough that a decent coach will take it over. I mean, I think that's just what's going to happen, because before they kind of had to settle for Jeremy Pruitt because they couldn't get anybody. Nobody's going to take the Florida State job right now. Hugh Freeze is not going to coach FSU.
You think Muschamp will take it?
No, he don't want that either.
But remember, he's like, I don't know if he'll go backwards. I think that'd be the only team that will take him.
The problem with Pruitt, though, is I think he kind of leaves a little bit of dust in his wake, doesn't he? I mean, that's the scary thing, is like what
cleanup.
If he does get the program to a decent point, what's going to happen when he leaves?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Norvell will be fine. You guys get a quarterback, and
I think FSU there's plenty of talent around that FSU school that may not necessarily be a 5-star, but I'm sure they could pull in a 3 or 4-star or a JUCO transfer. They could pull in a quality quarterback relatively easily. And it basically all they need is an 8-5 season, or even a 9-4 season, and they are right back. They'll be able to pull quarterbacks no problem. I'm always surprised. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, with all this coaching talk, the one that really wouldn't surprise me. So the hot coach right now that everybody talks about is Fickell, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could see Fickell being in Michigan next year, the year after.
And they're definitely gonna be looking for a coach in the next year or two. That's for sure.
Yeah,
save a ton of money.
They could probably hire Gus Muschamp there pretty soon. Mm-hmm. Gus Malzahn, I mean.
Just mix the two together. Get two coaches for the price of one.
Gus Muschamp.
We'll take
send him up there to Michigan.
The Gus champ.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh he was a good coach for Michigan. He has been, but I feel like it's just kind of wearing off, to where the scheme or teams have evolved in the scheme he's tried to just isn't working anymore there.
Well, that was kind of the same thing that happened to Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly at Oregon.
I'll be right back.
Goes out there and basically wins, every game he plays because he's running a hurry-up offense. And then turn around. And then once everybody started catching on to it, he started to lose his ability to dominate teams. The game evolved. And whenever the game evolved, he really didn't have an answer with it. So he ended up telling all the Oregon fans, he's like, yeah, I'm going to be back next year. Like 2 weeks later, he goes pro.
Yeah.
Well, you got a score prediction on the Iron Bowl?
I do.
What you got?
Go ahead, Keith.
No, I was going to say, what you got?
You don't want my score prediction, man.
You could tell me both. If Auburn somehow pulls out a miracle, or if Alabama does what Alabama's probably going to do. You could tell me both. Both teams win. Score prediction.
44-14.
Alabama?
Yeah.
Sounds right. Brett?
55-14.
I was going to say 56-3.
Well, he's going to say what?
I said 56-3.
He said 56-3. Keith's like, man, you're brutal on the young guy. And the young guy's like, man, we ain't even going to do that well.
Oh, yeah. You guys were being nice. You said we scored.
I wasn't being nice. I was calling it like it was, man.
I'm saying Alabama.
I think he'll score.
Alabama. If Alabama shows up like Alabama shows up, it's gonna be a mudslide. It's gonna be terrible. But I feel like if Auburn shows up, Alabama shows up, it's 38-13.
Alabama's giving up.
If Alabama doesn't show up at all, and Auburn shows up and plays the best they've ever played this year, I feel like we win it 28-24, 28-26. Even 28-27.
Bama's giving up points this year. I think you guys will score on them. I just think they're gonna. I think they're gonna have the ball enough that they're gonna score.
If Nick Saban doesn't coach, they'll have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
I think what you're gonna see is you're gonna see the let's do it for Rudy routine right here is what you're gonna see. You're gonna see that the coach is gonna be had. Excuse me. The talk is gonna be had that. This is the first game in 87 years since Saban drank from the golden holy grail that he hasn't been on the sidelines for a game, and this is our biggest rival. Let's go out here and give one for the old Gipper. And you're going to see those guys come out there and just absolutely dominate Auburn.
56-3.
I think Auburn will score. I just don't think it'll be much, man. I think those guys are going to go out there and just be ticked off the whole game.
I feel like we're gonna play in our emotions. If we get down at halftime, Auburn is a second half team, but it depends on the score. If it's 28-0 at the end of the first half, Auburn's gonna get in their emotions, and it's just gonna be a slugfest. But like I said, this is our chance to get to the SEC championship. Our season is technically not over if you think about it, because we got Texas A&M and Alabama in our next schedule. And if we can win out in those two games, we're in the SEC because we're at the top of the West. And our only two losses were to East teams.
So it's easy to say. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do. All you have to do is win. All you have to do is win.
I'm saying from a diehard Auburn fan.
Hold on. Listen to me now.
All right.
I watched Auburn when I would argue with very similar talent to what you have right now. Go out and beat a number 1 Georgia, and the very next week beat a number 1 Alabama. Watched it happen.
Yep.
I don't think that you had any world beaters that year, and I don't feel like you have any world beaters this year. But I feel like if anybody could pull some magic out, it would be Auburn.
That's just the type of team we are. Miracles. Like, they should have like a Jordan Hare Stadium. Should put like a quote that says "Miracles live here."
At least you ain't gonna be like a bunch of Georgia fans. You guys are still in the driver's seat up until midnight.
And then
Saturday.
Florida's gonna do something like Georgia did to us in the SEC championship, so it's all gonna be for nothing.
I don't know, dude.
Florida would beat Auburn like they did last year.
I don't know, dude. See. Here's the thing, right? Is that as a Georgia fan, if Florida ends up playing out for Alabama, I'm going to have to pull for Alabama. I'm not going to have a choice. And I don't want to pull for Alabama. Certainly ain't going to pull for Florida. So that's one of those games where I wish Lightning would strike the middle of the field and they'd have to they'd have to cancel the game. Don't want nobody get hurt, but I don't want them to play.
Yeah.
What I would say for Georgia, as I feel like Georgia's underrated right now, is
I don't know, man. They gave us 9 in the college football playoff. That was crazy.
Yeah, that is true. But I feel like this still is a little low. You got to think about Georgia's losses. Who did Georgia lose to? They lost to a number 1 Alabama as of now, number 2 Alabama, and they lost to a really good number 8 at the time, number 5 Florida team. And those are 2 teams that are really hard. And you actually played them. You played Alabama and Florida pretty much the same, and you played both of the teams really good.
All right, so here we go. Since we're on the I wish, let's do the I wish or the I hope or the what if. If Florida loses 2 games and Alabama loses 2 games, actually Alabama's only got to lose 1. Auburn wins out. That puts Georgia playing Auburn in the SEC championship.
I don't want to do that.
I mean, that's what it would be.
That is true. Alabama loses the next week, and Florida loses the next two. Georgia clinches.
And technically, it's still 2020, so anything can happen.
Yeah. Until that December 31st at 12 a.m., which would practically be January 1st hits, anything can happen. I bet you Northwestern wins the national championship too this year. If it's 2020 works its magic, Northwestern could upset Notre Dame or something.
If I got you guys on here, let's do this. I'm going to pull up the schedule for the week. We're going to roll through it real quick. Let you guys figure out who you do what?
I was going to say, you think Vanderbilt fans sit around and go, okay, if every team gets COVID and everyone has to cancel the season and we're healthy, do we get checkers?
Well, your first statement didn't make any damn sense.
What's that? Vanderbilt fans?
You said Vanderbilt fans. What is that?
You don't watch baseball, sir.
Oh, you're talking about baseball. Oh yeah, I'm sure they do it in baseball. The only reason Vanderbilt plays football is because they have to. That's it. That's why Derek Mason is still here. Chris Brookard, comment of the night, right here. SEC, baby. Absolutely.
Hey man, they gave us Keyshawn Vaughn. They can't be that terrible.
What does that say about Georgia giving Justin Fields to Ohio State?
No. I'm just saying Keyshawn was good when he played.
So do we see anybody beating Alabama this year? I mean, is this going to be another Alabama national championship?
No. They run the table.
You know Joe Biden's about to take.
What? I think we're just gonna leave that one alone. There's worse things you could have played, but not many.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I wanted to touch on earlier when Fusion was talking about the Indiana. I didn't really jump in there, but I did want to mention that that game that Indiana played against Ohio State. I think Indiana proved a lot in that game. I mean, they came back tough in the second. I mean, the first quarter of that game, like it was going to be a blowout, right? I think we called that game close. I said that, Indiana was going to play them tough. And I was watching this game. I was over at some families eating early Thanksgiving with some of my wife's family, and we had that game on. And, the first quarter, I was just like, wow, all right, I guess I was completely wrong. And then as I watched it, this is the first team since, Fields has been at Ohio State that made him look human, right? I mean, he was running all over the place, throwing up crazy stuff and getting intercepted. I mean, they got after him, and then they also come back in the second half. I mean, so that shows some coaching wherewithal. That shows the players buying in. I mean, they came back and almost took that game. And so I was impressed. Yeah, I was impressed. Really, really impressed by Indiana. I think they had a lot to hold their heads up in that game, for sure.
I agree. We were talking about, is Georgia underrated? I wouldn't want Georgia to play in Indiana next week.
No, not at all. Yeah, Indiana. That quarterback they got, Penix Jr., I think is a playmaker, man.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run through the matchups here real quick. Just kind of get you guys ones and twos on it.
Okay.
So let's look at the matchup kicking off on Saturday is Iowa State versus Kentucky. I saw yellow. I saw an orange T there and got confused.
Kentucky.
Oh yeah, Tennessee and Texas. Yeah.
Texas.
So Iowa State is number 13. Texas is number 17.
Oh,
What's
wait.
thoughts on that?
Iowa State is ranked. Iowa State.
I got Iowa State.
Yeah. I got Iowa State as well.
I'm taking
I feel
Iowa
like
State.
they're just a more complete team.
Yeah, I think they're a more complete team, and I hate Texas, so let's go.
Hey, man, we're back.
Back to what?
They've been back ever since they beat Georgia in the bowl game, right?
Last time they were impressive, Vince Young was there.
All right, so next quote-unquote big game, Notre Dame versus North Carolina.
Notre Dame easy. And
I'm riding Dame till they see Clemson again. I told you that, Brett. They ain't losing another one to the ACC.
I'm picking North Carolina.
Oh, Brett, no.
Hey, that's your upset of the week.
Upset of the week right there. I'm telling you, man.
No.
So the team that lost to Florida State is going to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The team that beat
All
Clemson.
right.
Hey, the line's only 5.
That's crazy to me.
Listen, they beat Wake Forest by 6 points, man. Come on.
I mean, it's 5 against the home team, but yeah. I mean, that's.
I'm taking North Carolina.
No, I'm taking Notre Dame. They're going to cover. They're going to cover easy.
It's going to be 55-10.
I don't think it's going to be that bad, but I think they cover easy.
It's going to be bad, dude. They're going to beat the brakes out of North Carolina, but I'm going to take them anyways. That's my upset pick of the week right there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but yeah.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine North Carolina coming out there and dotting their I for them?
Yeah, I do think that is the only competition that Notre Dame really has until their ACC championship game. I mean, for sure. I mean, what they got Syracuse, Syracuse and Wake left. Yeah.
So, all right, Trenches, let's go back to last week, right?
All right.
You remember me telling you Boston College was going to play them close, right?
Yeah.
And Boston College did for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, it kind of got away from them. Just kind of turned the corner on them. Kind of got away from them.
Correct.
They let Boston College score 31 points, and they only scored 45 against Boston College.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This will be the best offense they have seen all year, save Clemson. I think, and they still let Clemson score 40 points. Now, the Tar Heels are more than capable of putting 55, 60 points on the board. They have had 1, 2, 3 games this year where they have scored 56 or more. They have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've had 5 games this year where they have scored 40 points or more. If you look at what Notre Dame, they rarely score over 40 points. They have 4 games right at 40 points. But I'm just saying, I think that North Carolina's offense might be enough. Now, they don't play much defense. I give them that. But they have a high-powered offense there. So I'm taking North Carolina. Like it or not.
They lost to Florida State, Brett. That's all I'm just going to keep bringing up that stat. They lost to Florida State. You're flipping a coin to see which North Carolina team shows up. And that's why I'm going to lean towards Notre Dame in this game.
Fine, you're going to make me do this to you. Okay, they lost to Florida State. Florida State's a bad team, right? Got it, check. The year that Georgia went to the national championship, what was their loss that year?
South Carolina.
Okay, do I prove my point?
Okay, was that their only loss?
No, they lost by 3 points to UVA.
I'm just saying Notre Dame's more consistent, and I don't think they're going to lose till they get to the championship.
That's fine. I'm okay with you saying that.
I'm with Trenches on this one. I think Notre Dame handles this game fine. I think they go to the ACC championship, and I think Clemson would Trevor beats them.
That's what I think. That's what I think too. But I'm still gonna pick North Carolina. So
that's fair to pick it.
I'm just saying if anybody's gonna beat them before they get back to that game, it's gonna be those guys. That's it.
It'd be North Carolina. I just don't think they're gonna do it.
I hate Notre Dame, so I'm picking North Carolina. I don't need any other reason than that, and I don't care if you trust me or not. So there you go. Shut up. All right, Illinois versus Ohio. Hold on. Pump the brakes because I hate this team too. I have a lot of teams I hate. I'm beginning to realize this in college football. Number 24 Iowa versus Nebraska.
Wow.
Nebraska's having one of the worst seasons I've ever seen.
Nebraska has one win against Penn State. They've lost to everybody else.
I can't pick them. What's even the spread on that game?
I don't know. I don't have it pulled up right now.
13 and a half.
I'm going to take
I would take Iowa in the points for sure. Dude.
Yeah.
Number 15, Oregon versus Oregon State.
Oregon. They're not impressive, but they're better than Oregon State.
Yeah. Well, who the hell knows, right? All of them only played 3 games.
If they only played 3 games, it's hard to tell.
But yeah,
what I will say is that they seem to have a pretty good offense at Oregon State right now. Not great, but pretty good. I don't know. It depends on what happens. Still taking Oregon. Okay. Ohio State in its more than halfway through the season schedule here in their 3rd game of the season. What versus Illinois?
Ohio State.
Yeah, easy.
No, really?
Not even close. Yeah,
You're not going to take Illinois?
The Illinois? No.
You think they're going to win, you Illinois. There ain't no way they're winning that game. Ohio State's going to blow them out of water. What do you think the point scores are going to be? I'm going to say 50-10.
I thought you were talking point spread. I say 48-13.
48-13.
I think there's a letdown after Indiana.
Really?
They still cover, no problem. Yeah.
I think Justin Fields is going to go out there for 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I do too. If
He
not more.
very well could.
If not more. All right, so next up, noon game, Saturday. By the way, all those games that we talked about earlier are all Friday games, so that'll be fun. And there's actually 2 games on there's 1 game on Thanksgiving. New Mexico versus Utah State. I'll watch it because there won't be nothing else on.
Hey, man, you got Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
No, I don't watch
I think they canceled that game, didn't they?
The Pittsburgh, Baltimore, or the college?
The NFL game. The night game.
No, they canceled one of the. They canceled one of the
NFL game. The NFL game got moved from Friday night or Thursday night. I mean,
that's the Pittsburgh game. That's the night game.
Yeah. That game
That's
got
true.
moved.
I'll be in a coma anyway from Turkey.
Yeah, I think they rescheduled it to Sunday.
All right, so let's go with Florida versus Kentucky.
Florida.
Yeah, there's not really many compelling games this week. As far as all these are pretty chalk.
No, I'll give you a compelling game in just a minute. We'll get to it.
Okay.
But who you picking, Florida, Kentucky?
Florida.
I mean, I'm picking Florida easily.
The
line's 25, and they're going to cover.
I've never seen somebody have their own channel and troll so much.
I don't care. I'm taking Kentucky. I ain't rooting for Florida. I'll pull for everybody against the rest of the year.
I ain't rooting for Florida, but you be out your mind thinking that Florida's going to lose that one.
You're a traitor. You're a traitor to your cause. Can't stand it. Lying ass dog right there.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I'm taking Kentucky. Bunch of traitors over here. All right. So moving on to Penn State versus Michigan. This is your game right here.
Michigan.
This is your game. Penn State versus Michigan. Who you got?
Penn State ain't winning the game all year. Give them Michigan.
No, man, the game they're going to win is the game against Michigan, man. That's the point.
Michigan's only won 2, but Penn State would give their left eye to be in Michigan's seat right now. I'm going Michigan.
Man, this is a winless team at Penn State versus a 3-loss team at Michigan.
This is Vandy versus Florida State right here.
Has this game ever meant less? I mean, you think about it.
That's a valid question. You know what? I wonder if somebody could look it up. When was the last time Michigan played Penn State and neither team was ranked? I bet you it's been 15, 20 years.
I don't know. But for it to not mean anything at all, that's pretty staggering. I mean, I know it means something to those fan bases, but as far in the landscape of college football, it means nothing. And I think didn't Penn State come into this year ranked high?
They were supposed to be the second best team in the Big Ten.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So wait, are y'all picking Penn State?
Yes, because I.
Wow.
Yeah, I am. I'm picking Penn State.
What about you, Brett?
Think you're muted, bud.
Yeah, you're muted. There you go. Still can't hear you. Brett done messed up his mic. Can you hear us? You're muted.
That game is a toss-up as well.
Honestly, to me, it makes it more interesting. But it's kind of like the Nebraska Penn State game.
Yeah.
Like, who's finally going to get that W?
Yeah, it's like who is the most terrible? Who's who's the best? It's just who's the worst.
It just reminds me of that episode of there was an episode like probably 5 years back at South Park where they were doing like a T-ball tournament and each one was doing their best to make sure they lost. That's this whole game right here.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I just believe in this Michigan thing, man. I think even in a year where Penn State hasn't won a game, I think that Harbaugh still is not going to be able to pull it off. It's going to be hilarious.
You might be right. Until you win one, man, I can't pick you.
What's going to happen? Yeah, I agree. I kind of agree with that sentiment. But what's going to happen if Michigan does lose this game, man? I mean, the
Harbaugh's gone either way. I think.
Yeah, I think he is.
Money.
Yeah,
he's not recruiting. He's not coaching. He gets what, $8 million a year?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. No, he's got to go.
Yeah,
we can't hear you, Brett.
No, and I think it's lasted way too long too. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been talking about firing this guy, it seems like, for a decade. Let's see if he's going to get back on.
Well, I mean, it shows his mic is still muted. Oh, he left.
Oh.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, let's be real. The only reason he got really hired is because of his name.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And his recruiting has been like I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was like, "Well, I mean, you can't compare him to Ohio State." I was like, "You absolutely can compare him to Ohio State. That's what he was brought there to do."
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he was brought there to beat Ohio State.
And I told my friend this. I was like, "Man, you really, you've only started watching college the last 5 years. Ohio State hasn't always been so much better than Michigan. It used to be the other way around."
Yeah, that's the point I was making earlier when we were talking about Fusion. Is whenever Ohio State hasn't out-talented Michigan throughout this whole venture with Harbaugh. I mean, when he first got there, he should have been beating up on them, and he's kind of missed his window. There were seasons, years back where they had the most talented team on the field, and they just still couldn't get over the hump. And there were talks of firing him way back then, and and the fact that we've gotten this far and he's still a coach there is kind of crazy to me.
I mean, look at the seasons that they had. Like, what was it, Shea Patterson?
Yeah,
that team was really well built.
Oh yeah,
and it was just running on empty every game.
Yeah,
they just couldn't get their feet going. It's weird.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of it reminds me a lot of Rick, honestly. It's really hard to talk about firing a guy that goes out there and wins 9-10 games every year, but yet it's the one big game that you got to win that you can't ever figure out how to get over the hump. And,
I mean, really think about that with Mark Richt. You had AJ Green, Matt Stafford, Sean Marino, Muhammad Massaquoi, a decent defense, and still couldn't get us an SEC title.
And that was the year. That was the year where I was like, if he can't do it with this talent, then it's time to move on. It's time to move on. I mean, he had almost an entire NFL team worth of offense.
Hell, he had my favorite Georgia player of all time on that team. I mean, he didn't go nowhere in NFL or anything, but Greg Blue was always my favorite player, and he still couldn't do anything.
Yeah. So I was kind of on the whole get rid of Rick bandwagon way back. Yeah, it shouldn't have taken so long. But Harbaugh's in the same boat. It's really hard to argue. Firing a guy that is successful, but yet he wasn't hired to be successful. He was hired to win a national championship, beat Ohio State, and out recruit them. And he was hired to be where Ohio State's at now.
It'd be one thing to say, "Hey, you were hired to do this." It'd be another thing to have a guy who's not doing any of the things you named and making $8 million a year. That's where I draw the line in saying it's one thing to say, "Hey, man, you haven't met our expectations, but we're still getting winning seasons." It's another to say, "Hey, man, you're the fourth highest paid coach in college, and you're not meeting our expectations." That's where we got to cut our money, save our losses, and get someone else in.
Yeah. Like Chris, if they fired Harbaugh, who would they hire to replace him? It would be better. I don't know at this point. I mean, Michigan still.
I don't know it, man.
Yeah, I don't have it either, but I think Michigan's got they got the name, they got the pedigree to hire someone.
Yeah.
I mean,
I really think they can get Fickle.
Yeah, they could get Fickle. I mean, Hugh Freeze's name is tossed around a lot there's coaches out there that would probably jump at the chance to coach up there, but I don't know. I just know I think that experiment with Harbaugh is ran its course. I'm not a Michigan fan, but I know if I was one, I would be on that train with both feet.
Oh yeah, he's got to go.
Let's see. Talk about some of these other games, I guess. We can talk about the Alabama-Auburn game. 24.5 point spread on that game. I think
they cover. They cover. Yeah. I felt bad because Fusion was like, what if this, and I'm just like, what game are they talking? Because I muted at that point, and I hear y'all talking about Alabama Auburn, and y'all like, well, it could be this score, and he's like, well, what if it's this scenario? And I'm like, man, what are you talking about? Because I personally, my score prediction for that one, and I put it on Game Time Kickers, is 52-13. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near close.
Yeah, that's what I got.
If Auburn wins, great for them, man. Fusion, I hope they do. That'd be cool. I just don't see it happening at all.
Yeah, I think Alabama. I think Auburn is going to score on Alabama. Alabama has given up points all year, so I think they're going to put some points on the board. And that maybe they don't cover. I think they will, but because you just never know what Alabama's going to give up. I mean, in that first half, Alabama seems to be a little, they play a little loose in the first half and give up points. But, and Auburn's good enough to score some points on Alabama's defense. So I think they're going to get 14, 21 points, something like that. But I think Alabama's not going to have any trouble scoring. I think they're going to score in the 40 to 50 range.
Well, there's three things motivating Alabama, in my opinion. One is the Hughes rivalry. Two is the fact that Saban doesn't mind running up a score. But three, and the biggest fact, is Mac Jones. Mac Jones is sitting there going, wait, y'all, some of y'all people actually have Kyle Trask ahead of me in the Heisman. I'm going to put up as much points as I can every game.
Yeah.
I think it's a terrible disaster.
Yeah, we got you, bud.
Yeah, we hear you.
I don't.
Yeah, I think the Heisman is Kyle Trask to lose, right? I mean, you can't. I don't think.
I think it's Mac Jones.
Really? I don't think. I mean, Mac Jones ain't even the best offensive player on his own team, is he? I mean, Najee Harris is better. would be higher in Heisman in my opinion.
Do you think that Kyle Trask is better in Pitts?
Kyle Trask better than who?
Kyle Trask. Right now, I think Kyle Trask. I mean, I think the Heisman is Kyle Trask to lose at this point, especially if he goes out there and actually plays decently against Alabama.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I lost you there for a second. Oh.
I think OBS is having some problems because it told me that it couldn't find my mic, it couldn't find my camera. I ended up having to shut down and restart OBS. Just
yeah. I kind of agree with Sean. I don't know if Fields is in that.
Fields is not going to have
right
enough
now.
Yeah,
but
he's not going to have enough work to show.
Yeah, and then like I said, the Indiana game. I mean, that game kind of I think knocked him out of contention right now. But like I said, I think Najee Harris is a better offensive talent than Mac Jones on their own teams.
Thanks.
Yep. Fusion, hate to throw you in here like this, man, but I'm fixing to jump off. This thing is starting to have some problems.
Yeah, I got to run too.
Yeah, man.
It's starting to have some issues. Our viewer watch just went down to like 8, so I think a bunch of people just got knocked off. But I'm gonna run through these last. I'm gonna run through these last couple of games
I'm
real
glad
quick.
I got to join, and if you have another stream Wednesday, I'll be here.
Okay,
100%.
sounds good, man. I'm gonna run through these last games here real quick.
I think it is having
knocked
problems
out.
because your mic is cutting huge.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, but you're ultra laggy. Your voice ain't matching your mouth there, Brett.
That happens a lot. My mouth often don't match half of what's going on. Not sure why.
Hey, can I ask you a side question here because we were talking about Heisman?
Sure.
Okay, so Clemson played a full season theoretically.
Okay.
As soon as Trevor Lawrence got COVID and had to miss 2 games, his Heisman chances were out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But everyone else plays 8 games, so it equals the same. Why was his Heisman odds gone? That makes no sense to me.
Well, not everybody else is playing 8 games though.
But what? Okay, so you got Kyle Trask.
Okay.
Okay, you got Justin Fields.
Okay.
All these guys are still in the running. Trevor Lawrence isn't, but he only missed 2 games, which equals the same season as Trask had. That's why I'm confused. How was he automatically knocked out of that?
I won't say that he's automatically knocked out of it. I think he's definitely moved out from being a front runner now that he's going to have to prove it. And it's because it's what have you done for me lately, man? That's the college football way, right? I mean, everybody.
I get that.
Yeah, everybody's impressed with what Kyle Trask is doing at the moment, and until he has a bad game, I think everybody's going to be on that bandwagon. And as soon as he has a bad game, they're going to move on to someone else. And and Trevor Lawrence, we're looking at 35, 34 game, 30, somewhere around 30-something days between snaps for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that was my only question. I just couldn't understand it. I was like, because you watch ESPN and the SEC Network and everything else, they don't even have him on the list. And I'm like, well, this makes no sense to me. He's at least number 4.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Got to go through a couple of really important games here. Obviously, the Alabama-Auburn game. If you're smart, you're going to take Alabama. There shouldn't be any concern in your mind about that. If you want to see a struggle game, watch Missouri play Vanderbilt. Clemson's going to play Pitt. I think we all know which way that's going to go. Northwestern's going to play Michigan State. We know where that's going to go. I think Mississippi State versus Ole Miss could be interesting because it's going to be a killing. Texas A&M versus LSU. Is this the game where LSU turns it around? The short answer is no.
This State Ole Miss game is going to be interesting, anyways. Just for the Leach Kiffin
air raid,
yeah, just to see what happens.
Well, let's hope. Hopefully, they'll have a lot of their players back, so we'll see what happens. Of course, Georgia versus South Carolina. I'm not giving my pick today because I always do my hype and hate video. You guys, real quick, what you got, Keith?
What's that for Georgia? South Carolina.
Georgia versus Soka.
Yeah. Like we were talking earlier, the line's 21.5. I still don't feel comfortable picking Georgia to cover a 21.5 point spread, especially against South Carolina. But I'm looking for a revenge game from last year. So hopefully we beat them by 30, 35 points. I'm really interested to see what the offensive game plan is going to be going into this game. Are we going to try to establish the run and prove that we can run the ball in hopes that we can get a little bit of balanced offense going into the last half of our season and into a bowl game? And that's what I'm looking for. I'm hoping that we can, put up 100 rushing yards and maybe 250 or 3, across the board, 100 rush yards or somewhere around it, and maybe, 200, 250 in the air or more. So, all
right, Trenches, what you got?
Of course, I got Georgia winning, and I think we cover, man. I got it 34-10. I think Georgia just finds the way to keep the ball moving. We're going to control the time of possession, keep the defense off for a little while, and then when it gets to 3rd and long, we now have a guy to get us out of that. So I think we're gonna run the ball, throw.
Yeah.
I think this is you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
All right.
If anybody watches a live stream 2.5 hours, they deserve to know what my prediction is. I think that if hey, what's up, Jason? I think that if you get if you've got a playmaker apparently like JT Daniels can be, this guy can do 400 yards with no run game. If Georgia develops any run game, this is going to get wildly out of hand. I think Georgia could easily score 45, 50 points in this game. JT Daniels has the arm to do it. I don't think South Carolina has anything to play for. Georgia's not big enough for South Carolina to get fired up to go play with no head coach. If there's a number 1 team, I could see getting you guys ramped up. Georgia's a number 9. Beating them basically means nothing for you. Georgia's finna go out there and wax that behind. So I'm going to say
forgot about the hedges.
Plus. What's that?
I said, don't think Georgia players forgot about the hedges getting torn up.
Oh, they don't.
Carolina.
I promise you they
I
don't.
guarantee they're getting played all week, that video.
Mm-hmm. All right, so and then the most important game of the season, of the night, Virginia at Florida State.
I got the Seminoles, man. I'm gonna do it. I'm taking them.
He said he's taking the Noles, man.
Give me the Criminals. I'll take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
All right, Keith, what you got?
I think I'm gonna go with Florida State too. I think they're slowly starting to figure this quarterback thing out with some of their younger guys there, and the line's at 9.5. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Florida State straight up.
Brett's gonna take Virginia.
Close game.
I'm
Maybe
taking the Cavaliers
or something.
Cavaliers have looked really good in their last several games. They put 44 points on UNC, which is ranked 15 at the time. Put 31 points on Louisville, and they put 55 points on ACU. I just don't see a way that FSU can handle that. I'm taking the Cavs.
FSU has hung around in some of these games that they shouldn't have, and just haven't, just kind of crumbled after a while. I mean, you saw that against Notre Dame. If they can get their offense going and stay on the field, get a quarterback that can get them to stay on the field, they can start being competitive in some of these games. And I think they might start. I think it might start this weekend. It's gonna be a good game.
We'll see what happens. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go jump off.
But hey,
yeah, I got you. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night, guys. It's getting late. Really appreciate all you guys that hung around here to the end. Dwayne RTR from start to finish, sir. You are a legend. Sarah Crane. I'm not gonna kind of get into your business, ma'am, but thoughts and prayers for you. I saw your post earlier. I'll be praying for you. Keith Carr, of course, sir, appreciate you being in the comment section as usual. Appreciate you helping out with that. Trenches, you're always here too, sir. Appreciate that. Fusion, young, very impressive young man. Tim Ferriss, how you doing? Stray Dog, Dave Mendoza, Jacob E-Up, and let's see here. And of course, fan favorite and resident legend, Chris Brooker. So really appreciate you guys being on. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys know what I'm about to say. Have a great day. God bless.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Go get some turkey.
And join the membership.
Yeah, be a member. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and send to your mom and them. Have a happy Thanksgiving. God bless. Go Dog.